As for the division between the MAGA more isolationist wing and the more neocon wing that still is very much present and not dominant, but present and large within the Republican Party. I'll say this. Clearly, I don't know, you don't have to be a neocon to be in support of what President Trump just did. Iran is an enemy of the United States. Iran has been the number one state sponsor of terror against the United States for the past 46 years. Iran is not just theoretically chanting death to America, as some absolute fools have been suggesting over the past few days. They have actually been causing death to Americans for decades now, decades. Our Marines, our Air Force, members of our military, all over the world, including most recently in Iraq and beyond there. So, and not to mention what the Houthis have been doing. I mean, Iran has several arms to it that are sponsored by it and assisted by it, from Hamas to Hezbollah to the Houthis and beyond, who have been doing its bidding. It is ridiculous to suggest that Israel started this war with Iran. Israel was attacked by Iranian proxy Hamas. That's how this whole thing got started. And if you ask me the reason we did what we did this weekend, it's because it all starts with 10/7, in that the Iranian proxies have been greatly weakened by Israel over the past 2 years, greatly weakened. I mean, Hezbollah's in tatters. Hamas is too. The Houthis just got bombed by President Trump for weeks, 6 weeks, by the way. No one was saying he didn't have authorization to do it, just like they didn't say Obama didn't have authorization on the thousands of strikes he did that didn't have specific congressional authorization beyond the authorization of use of military force that was passed after 9/11. Right? Both presidents, many presidents have used it. So, from Bush to Obama to Trump, and now Trump again. So Iran has been killing Americans for a long time. And the reason I think we had an American president who was willing to listen to the Netanyahu claims of right now it's imminent, the nukes are imminent, is because Iran was so weakened, it made sense now in a way it didn't before. It was in a way less provocative to bomb Iranian nuclear sites right now than it ever has been before. And it poses danger, sure, to our U.S. troops, especially on foreign military sites, but less now than it has in decades. And so while I look at the isolationist right, for lack of a better term, and I think, okay, I see they've lost this one for sure. There's no question. My friend Tucker and others and Bannon did not want this to happen. So they lost this one. They had every right to be concerned, and they have an ongoing right to be concerned. Their objections are based on some very real and unfortunate recent history, what happened in Iraq, chief among them. The absurd, failed nation building we tried under President George W. Bush, which was continued under Barack Obama. It was a nightmare. And even our troops have had it. Look at the interviews we did here on this program with Sean Ryan. Look how Rob O'Neill has turned on it. Look how Pete Hegseth has turned on some of these missions. Not the sacrifice, of course, made by our troops, but just the folly of thinking we could swoop into the Middle East and create some democratic republic that in any way resembled our own or had shared values with us. So we're a little jaded when it comes to Middle East meddling, understandably. And the other piece of it that is real is Bibi Netanyahu is suffering right now when it comes to some large factions of the American people with looking like the boy who cried wolf. All right. Now, I'm sorry, but I've been in the news business for 20 years now, and every single one of them, I've heard him say that Iran is months, at most a couple of years away from getting a nuclear bomb. Every single one of them. And we pulled a little montage of it over the years, but I mean, we could have gone back to the 1990s with Bibi doing this. Here's just a sampling.
The most dangerous of these regimes is Iran. Only the United States can lead this vital international
96.
effort to stop the nuclearization of terrorist states. But the deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
2012.
By next spring, at most, by next summer,
12.
at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment, and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. You don't want this Iran to have neither nuclear weapons
14.
or the capability to make nuclear weapons, to enrich uranium for a nuclear bomb in short order, in a few weeks or a few months. They could do that unless that's changed. With this massive capacity, Iran could make the fuel
15.
for an entire nuclear arsenal, and this in a matter of weeks, once it makes that decision.
Okay, so he said it a lot. And I think a large portion of the American populace is reacting to that in not believing him. When he says it now and our president acts in response. And clearly our president is responding to the Israeli intelligence. There was a New York Times report out just this weekend talking about how the Israeli intelligence showed, it was dated, actually this is dated last Wednesday. Israeli intelligence was showing that Iran was making cruder and faster efforts to get a nuclear weapon. And the weaker the Iranians got, the closer they were moving to the bomb. In other words, it sounds like it was an act of desperation. Like, we're going down, we need it now. In terms of the enrichment of uranium, Iran was days away from where it needed to be, but there were other components it still required to complete the weapon. It points out in the same report, however, that contrary to Israeli claims, senior administration officials within the Trump administration were unaware of any new intel showing the Iranians were rushing to build a nuclear bomb. It seems clear to me that Trump was listening to Bibi's intel and not to our own. And there are flaws with our own, because we've had a director of national intelligence, not Tulsi, but we've had an office of DNI that since Obama was there to do one thing, and honestly, the end of George W. Bush too, to just say Iran doesn't mean it. Iran's not actually going to do a bomb. Don't worry, because there's zero appetite, especially even at the end of Bush, to bomb Iran or to get involved in a new Middle East war. And so they used the DNI office for years to be the excuse for not doing anything about it. Oh, there's nothing there. Don't worry. They don't really mean it. They're not going to do it. Don't worry. And the Israeli intelligence, and I don't know whether it's real or not, to be honest with you, but it's certainly been consistent saying they're inches away. And what we saw most recently was the IAEA, which is the International Monitoring Organization when it comes to nuclear behavior, which was going in, though it was given more and more limited access at the Iranian nuclear sites, saying they have 60% enriched uranium, which absolutely no domestic energy program needs. You need about 10% to do domestic energy or under. You don't need 60. They're moving towards a bomb. Absolutely 100%. And we're enriching enough energy to have, according to the reports, 9 or 10 of them already. We were pretending we didn't see it. That's my take on it. And not just mine, but many smart experts who've been watching the region. Because nobody had the appetite for a war with Iran. And President Trump doesn't have the appetite for a war with Iran. There's nothing inconsistent, not one word, in the way Trump ran for office and the way he's handled this crisis. He was never an isolationist. I'm sorry, he wasn't. Part of MAGA is far more than Trump is. We discussed this when I interviewed Marco Rubio, talking about the factions of the party. Trump's got a foot in both camps. And Trump has not been shy about using American power where it made strategic sense. And he thought that it would well serve the United States. There was a tweet that Noah Pollack put out just this weekend, which was excellent. It reads as follows: "This endless war shrieking is ridiculous. Trump bombed the Houthis for 6 weeks, then ended it. He fought ISIS for around 2 years, defeated them, then ended it. Trump killed Soleimani and did not engage further. He degraded al-Shabaab in Somalia for 3 years and then ended it. Trump's record of not dragging us into another endless war is impeccable. There is something in between targeted military strikes and endless war. And Trump and, yes, Netanyahu saw the opportunity for it in bombing the nuclear sites of a now weakened Iran, whose proxies are in no position to fight back the way they would have been even 5 years ago. So I don't think they have the capacity to respond in the way some are fearing. And I don't think they are inclined to go that route. I know they're martyrs. I know they love the jihad. They hate the infidel. They mean death to America. But I think they understand that escalating this will risk everything they care about. For sure, from the Ayatollah's ability to go on, though he's already 86, to the Islamic regime in general. So that's my own back of the envelope take. We are days away from what has been dubbed by some the Rio Reset, what some worry could be a threat to the US dollar's global dominance in over 80 years. On July 6th, BRICS nations, that's Russia, China, India, and Iran, and some more, are expected to unveil their plans to circumvent the US dollar, thus cratering, its value. Some report that they've already been laying the groundwork as their central banks have been methodically divesting from the US dollar and US bonds in favor of gold. How can you protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark shift? One option is to diversify with gold from Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which is right now. Get a free info kit on tax-sheltered gold IRAs by texting the word MK letters to 989898. July 6th could mark a monumental shift happening among nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP. Arm yourself with information to diversify your retirement savings. Text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.